This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Her Story, the journey to winning a seat at the table. This is a series of conversations with inspirational women who are in leadership roles. And stories are a tapestry of lifelong events and experiences. So let's explore the journey. My guest today is Tara Fleming. And Tara is a graduate of West Hill Secondary School as an outstanding basketball player. And because of that, she won a full scholarship to the Youngstown State University, where she received her Bachelor's of Science, and then went on for a Master's in Business Administration at Canisius College, and has been teaching women's university basketball for 13 years. She's currently with Fortune Personnel Consultants, and Tara, being Tara, is also a business entrepreneur and owner of Neat Systems. We often see very accomplished women in leadership roles. However, it's really important to remember that leadership can emerge at any age or at any stage. And Tara has sat at many decision-making tables, from the kitchen table to the boardroom. And this is Tara's journey. Welcome, Tara. I am so glad to invite you into my home and to have this conversation with you. I've been really looking forward to it.
Me as well. Thank you so much for having me. It's so great to see you.
Well, you've had an amazing journey. And I'm just wondering if let's start with some of the early years, because I think that really has shaped you as this amazing woman that you have grown into.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, my childhood was definitely unique to many, I think. My older brother and younger sister and I, we experienced some tragedy early in life. My sister and I's father passed when I was 9, and my mother actually passed on Valentine's Day when I was 13. So that was it definitely quickly shaped me into, kind of left my childhood in the dust a little bit. My Aunt Lana and Paul Kivel, who are still in the Owen Sound area, they swooped up and rescued us all, and just, were knight in shining armors. And but it definitely it changes how you view the world a little bit. Single mom, she did an incredible job raising us. I mean, I don't know how she did what she did, and watching her do that also helped to shape who I am. But I think, at a young age, Mom was working, Grandma sometimes came over, but, learning how to cook food for my sister and I, and my brother was a sports star and still is, great at everything he does. So, he was helping out around the house as well, but he was also very involved in high school athletics. So, I was learning how to cook and clean and take care of this little being that was my sister. And it just really helped to shape, and it changed how I viewed things, because I think as a young person, sometimes the little things can be, so tragic. If your hair gets cut too short, or a boy doesn't like you, sometimes that can be life and death. And as it should be, it is the biggest things that happen to you in your life. But for me and my family, growing up, excuse me, as a young woman, there was so many things that, those things to me, I was like, okay, I'm healthy. My family's healthy. This is fine. We can get through this. So it helped me to understand that those things that sometimes can alter your path were just bumps in the road. And it helped me just really, really push through. And the people I met, helped shape that as well. Coach Johnson, I don't think I would be a scholarship player and a Division I coach if not for him pushing me, and I say pushing me, to be my best self as well. So I think, with the tragedy that I had, losing my father, losing my mother, a few years after that in succession, losing my aunt, my grandfather, my grandmother, death became something that it wasn't as large, I think, as it would have been for others. And it sounds a bit silly to say that, but it really helped me to be a better coach. It helped me to shape young women's lives. And I think it's helped me to really appreciate every little grateful thing that happens. So a lot of craziness and a lot of tragedy, but, somewhat silver linings in it as well.
That's you really went through a lot, Tara, in your early years, and we can see that how that has shaped you as an adult too, and your compassion and your understanding and looking at things from a broader perspective and a very mature perspective from a very young age. And was there a pivotal moment that sort of charted your path forward, particularly in the basketball field area?
Well, for me, I knew that going to university was going to be a very tough thing financially for my family. My brother, my sister, and I, my Lena and Paul Kivel, my aunt and uncle took on. But when my other aunt passed, she took on her kids, my aunt and uncle took on their kids as well. When my grandma became sick, she moved into our small little home. So I knew very early that if I was going to get a degree, I was going to have to figure out how to do it financially my own self. So basketball was something that I had loved, mainly, honestly, because my brother loved it. The only reason why I got into it. My brother coached me in grade 7 and grade 8 in elementary school, and I fell in love with it because, your older brother is the coolest thing ever. And when I got to Owen Sound and, shifted my life there, I met Coach Johnson. And within the first couple practices, he essentially sat me down and said, okay, you have a real chance to be special here, but it's going to be a lot of work. Are you ready to do that? And, once I tied in, if I work really hard at this, I might be able to use this as a vehicle for my education. It then became a no-brainer. I was doing it for me, but I was doing it for my mom. I was doing it for my family. So I had this incredible drive to get it done. And that to me was really the pivotal point when I had Coach Johnson really sit me down and say, you have a real shot, but it's going to be work. And can you do this? And that's when I just decided, okay, here we go.
Well, sometimes it takes an incredible mentor to actually chart your path forward and to keep you on track. And you were very successful at doing that because you were an outstanding basketball player going through high school, and that led you to your next journey into university. And through that journey, you became a coach, and where you were coaching the university's women in basketball. So how did that leadership affect the basketball players that you were coaching at that time?
Yeah, I think it allowed me to bring a different perspective for them. When I started coaching, I was, kind of the bigger sister, that I was always the person that told them what they needed to hear and not what they wanted to hear. Wasn't very popular at first, but it was something that they grew to respect, and then they grew to rely on. And that has been something that has always kind of drove me through my coaching career. As much as I love basketball and am passionate about winning games and have a competitive streak like no other, for me, my heart was in watching these young women come in as, unsure, nervous girls, and to be a part of their growth process. And in 4 years or 5 years, see them graduate as, confident women. That, to me, there was nothing like it. And that was, kind of the draw. And what kept me going back every year was just to see these incredible young women just blossom. And so for me, it was really being able to relate to them in a way where when, a straight A student got a B, or someone who has started their entire high school career comes in as a freshman and they're starting over and really struggle with that, I can, kind of give them a different perspective because of my upbringing and because of the tragedy that I went through. I could say, okay, here, let me tell you a little bit about me. Let me tell you where I've been and what I've been through. And let's kind of redirect our perspective and our focus. And it was something that I was able to bring to the table that obviously not a lot of other people can. And I was grateful for that because it really helped, I think, be able to put everything back into a reality check. It's basketball is what you do. It's not who you are. Let's focus on making you a better basketball player, but making you a better human being. And that is, I felt like more than anything, what my perspective brought. And I was so happy to do that.
Well, it sounds like you were an anchor in the lives of those young women who were launching on a journey of their own, and some of them just not being sure-footed enough to understand the wider world and some of the situations that have occurred to you that may not have occurred to them, and anchoring them and telling them exactly what real life is all about is a better way of coaching in women into the future to be strong women. I'm also curious about, at what point did you feel that you had a voice, and when did you feel that your voice was actually really being heard?
That's a great question, because I'm 6'2". I'm not going to go quietly anywhere, as you know. So I think there was kind of a misconception that, oh, it's Tara, she's going to always say what's on her mind. My first real year of coaching, I was a student assistant at Youngstown for a year, but I was in my comfort zone. I mean, that was my family. I had been there for 4 years playing. I knew the coaches. And when I moved with Terry Zay to Canisius College, I was petrified, absolutely petrified. I didn't want to mess up. I mean, I was recruiting young women to come to this college, and that was the biggest decision of their lives. And now I'm in game situations where I have a boss and a successful head coach looking at me saying, hey, what do you think? What if I tell them the wrong thing? So there was probably, I would say, 2 full years of me just being a yes woman, of just saying yes and trying to soak in as much as possible and not really being sure of if the words coming out of my mouth were good suggestions or not. I could talk to the players and, put them in perspective and, make them better basketball players. But when it came to the heat of the moment and, being around these coaches that have been in this business for years, I was humbled. So, Terry, I think, was a huge, huge proponent in being able to say, hey, you're really good at this. You have an incredible ability to build relationships. You see the game. I'm not asking you for you to just give me lip service. I need to know your opinion because that's what I respect. So to have this successful coach, had been to the NCAA tournament, has won, had successful winning seasons, look at me, who's this youngster in the business, say, I need you here. That for me was kind of a wake up moment of, oh, okay, I am valued. Even though I'm new to this, I'm still valued here. And so it really allowed me, and the assistants as well, Kendra Foston and Chris Bozab, now Janak, who were there, they helped me tremendously as well, because I had to speak up when I didn't want to. I had to enter those uncomfortable conversations, which as a young woman, you never want to have, you hate to do, but I had to do them. And, those first 2 years helped me to develop my voice, and it helped me to feel like I had a seat at the table. And then from there, I just, kind of hit the ground running.
Well, that's amazing, because we often will find our voice at different ages and different stages in different situations. But I also know that you use your voice too to stand up to injustice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's, as a mixed person, I always am able to enter a conversation where there may be some injustice topics, some racial topics, because to many, I just look white. So I'm able to kind of enter that in a comfortable environment, and then bring a unique perspective of, okay, I'm really glad that you shared that with me. Let's have an uncomfortable conversation and grow together. So let me bring you the perspectives that I've had, and not just, I've had racial issues. So when growing up, I was a mixed girl. So I was, my brother and I looked different, but we're the same, and we're called, a fair bit of racial names. And, of course, he's the big brother, so he was, defending me at every point. But I watched him go through it as a Black man. And that drove me, I think, to have those conversations in high school, as a student athlete in college. And then when I became a coach, I saw racial injustices and social justice needed so much more, because my players were going through it on a daily basis. So it was the conversations that I had with them constantly, and, had with our administrations, and I'm always very vocal about it, even if it's not the most popular thing, because I think it's just so crucially important for everybody to know that every human matters.
Well, what you're confirming to me today, Tara, is I always thought, the very first time I ever met you, I thought you were an amazing person, and you just year after year prove that constantly, because having known you as a teenager, and now seeing you as a full-grown woman, it's pretty amazing. It really is. Through all of this, I know that you are a very reflective person, and I'm just wondering, what have you learned about yourself through your life's journey so far?
Oh, wow. I think that's an everyday question I ask myself. I think I have learned that I'm capable of more, even more than I think. I have learned not to dwell on little things, especially for me. The little thing that I learned to move past was what other people think. That was a hard one in today's society, with, social media and, instant gratification at your fingertips with your phone, and opinions everywhere. That was, to me, in, a leadership position as a female coach. That was a hard one. That was a really big lesson I learned. But in terms of reflecting overall, I think I grow a little prouder of what I've gone through. I want to continue to reflect and use that, which is really why I started my own business. I kind of use that reflection of, what am I good at? What have I done through the years, without kind of thinking about it? and, kind of propelled that into being an entrepreneur. But I really try to reflect every day. I try to journal every morning, and always end with 10 things that I'm grateful for and 10 goals that I have. So that for me allows me to, whether it's a bad week, a good week, you always have these, especially in 2020, it's so hard to focus on the things that are good. And there's so many things in, whether it's a stressful job, some family drama, whatever it may be, your car breaks down. It's so easy because it takes up so much of your day to get wrapped up in that. But if you have to go home and you have to wake up and you have to write down 10 things immediately that you were grateful for that day, it shifts how you view it. And I have tried to do that more and more. Not always successful, but I try. So it's really just, to me, about perspective. And I have grown into fully leaning into and believing that what you want and what you will into existence happens. It's just all about whether you want it bad enough.
Oh, this is quite a story and quite a journey. My goodness. I just have another question to sort of, what are some words of wisdom that you would like to pass on to other young women who are coming up and finding their way through life?
I think the first thing is lean into your unique self. So much right now with social media and everything else going on, there's this aura of you have to be perfect, you have to look like the filters that are on Snapchat and Instagram, and uniqueness is what makes you beautiful. And I think that's so important, is, lean into your big forehead and your beautiful, unique nose. And if you have freckles and your beautiful melanin skin, whatever it is, just lean into it, because that's what's going to make you so beautiful in this world. The colors, we always talk about with fall, like, oh, the trees changing. It's so gorgeous out. That's what makes humanity beautiful. So I think more than anything, just lean into your uniqueness and your beauty, because that's what's going to propel you to be successful. The other thing that I think is crucially important is have uncomfortable conversations early. If you're in a classroom and you're doing everything right and a teacher says it's wrong, have a conversation. There's a right and a wrong way to do things. And if you can approach adults as a young woman, as a young man, the right way and have those conversations, it's going to help when you're an adult and you need to go into your boss's office and ask for a raise. So always, always, always stand up for yourself and what you believe is right, and always lean into how beautiful uniqueness is. Those are my two big ones.
Okay. That's great advice going forward. Now, I have a quote that I would like to read, because I think it sums up so well the conversation that we've had this morning. And that is, as hard as my life has been and as much as I have gone through, I am truly blessed to be where I am today. I chose not to make excuses, but to use my experience to fuel my fire. I learned what hard work looked like, and because of that, I am where I stand. Pretty proud of that. So the lessons that you have learned through your life has really propelled you into the future that you have now. And from what I understand too, that you also take a few risks, calculated risks, thoughtful risks, but you take some risks and you put yourself forward. And that gives you opportunity for new challenges and for new adventures.
Absolutely.
I also have a couple of just little quick questions that I'd like to ask you, and just a spontaneous reaction. Tara, what brings you joy?
Cooking and eating good food in my family, without a doubt. And decorating, all day decorating.
Well, I also think you like to declutter and have spaces that are neat and well organized, and that speaks to your personality as well.
Absolutely. If everything has a place, my heart is happy.
Well, we share that, actually. We very much share that.
Good. Good.
And the other question is, what phrase do you have in your head that propels you through your day?
Oh, the quote, there's two quotes that I think of daily. The one is, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And the other one, I honestly can't think of. There is more to her than she knows. Perhaps then, if she is meant to see it, she will fail to settle for anything less.
You know, it's interesting that you use the word fail in that quote, because I think in our life experience, at times when we do fail at something, what we're doing, that is a life lesson as well. It's actually a good thing to have a few failures and setbacks in your life in order to be able to grow as a person and to build the skills that will help you move through life in challenging times that come ahead. Because we do know that life is a series of ups and downs and hills and valleys and good times and maybe some not so good times. And I know that most of us are struggling through 2020. And this has given me such a wonderful opportunity to spend some time with you. And I have really learned a lot, even though I have known you over the years. I actually have learned a lot from you today. I think that you have given me a message that I can follow through with the rest of my life as I chart that from 1 year to the next now. And so it has been absolutely lovely to have this opportunity to talk to you. And I hope that we can do more of this in the future.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
So please join us next time for another amazing story and amazing journey on her story, the journey to winning a seat at the table. Take care and have a safe and healthy and happy time ahead.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
What kind of show do you want to see on Rogers TV? What interests you? Log on to rogerstv.com, fill out a show proposal, and tell us about your segment idea. We want to know what you want to see. Rogers TV, only on Rogers.